y'all, this is Justin from Jay's on the Trail, and today I'm going to be talking to you about all of the gear that I'm going to be bringing on our Appalachian Trail section hike, which will be starting on the 1st of March, and we're planning on going from Springer Mountain, Georgia to Hot Springs, North Carolina. Now, as a brief overview of the layout of this video, we're going to go into what pack I'm going to be carrying, what clothing I'll be wearing, what clothing I'll be packing. We'll go into the sleep system, the hydration system, aka what I'm using to filter water, the cooking system, toiletries, sleep system, and then we'll finish out with technology. Alright, so let's roll right into it. Now first, the backpack I'm going to be using is the same one that I took on the Appalachian Trail. So this bad boy's got over 2,000 miles on it, plus whatever I've hiked with it through section hikes here in Alaska or down in the lower 48. It is the Blaze AC60. They have done a refresh to this pack, Granite Gear specifically. Really enjoyed it. We did a couple modifications to it to take some of the weight off. For one, we took the overhead pouch here off, and that saved us about ½ pound. And then we cut basically all excess webbing off this thing, any strings that we weren't going to use, so it's really streamlined. I think from the factory it sits at about just under 3 pounds, but we've been able to get it to 2 pounds and I think like 12 ounces. So pretty darn good, and it will be coming with me. To cover this to help with rain protection, I've got the pack cover here. This is made by Jimmy Tarps. You can check him out on eBay. They're pretty cheap, and I believe this one only weighs about 2 ounces, so pretty solid. Now, along the same trend of rain protection, I'll also be bringing an umbrella. Now, this is an ultralight hiking umbrella made by Six Moon Designs. They do make tents as well. And I used this on the last section hike with great success and really enjoyed it. Now, one of the things that you kind of have to get over is it looks a little goofy and you might feel a little silly when you first start using it, but I can guarantee you it's worth it. And like I said earlier, I don't know if I'd mentioned, this is the carbon model, and it is wonderful. So you just like you use a normal umbrella, put it over your head and get to walking, and it keeps you dry all the way down to about your waistline will stay dry with this umbrella. Okay, rolling right into the clothing worn. So the first item here is I've got a Smart Wool. This is their real basic short sleeve t-shirt. This worked out really well. We use synthetics on our Appalachian Trail thru hike, but the problem with the synthetics is they like to stink and they get slimy. The merino is much more resistant to odor. But one thing to keep in mind is it may not be as durable, just because in here you start to get small pinholes where the belly of it is, where that pack belt is rubbing against it, or at least that's been my experience. But overall, a great t-shirt and well worth the money. As for pants, these are the Marmot Highland pants. I wore these on my last section hike, and I've taken them out on hikes here in Alaska. And the only problem I've had with these is they really started to pill very quickly, and I'm not sure if that's an issue with all Marmot pants or if it was just these. But overall, pretty solid set of pants. And then moving on, so my underwear is just the Smart Wool Merino, and these have been fantastic. They fit well, and once again, good odor control. I've got my socks here. These are 0.6 merino socks. These are their lightweight hikers. These did go all 2,000 miles on the Appalachian Trail without a hole in them, and I still use them today. So I would estimate that these socks likely, between the two pair of 0.6 I've got, at least 1,500 miles on the pair of them. I've used these things to death, and they just keep coming back for more. Okay, and then for sun protection, I've got just a generic thing of sunglasses, nothing too fancy. And then along that same line, I've got my Kuiu ball cap as well, just something light that'll dry quick that I can keep on my head to protect from the sun. And then finally in the worn category, I've got my Hoka Speed Goats. Now, I wasn't initially sold on Hoka because they've got that really massive cushioning on here. They looked a little goofy, similar to the umbrella where I was unsure and I felt uncomfortable initially, but then I really warmed up to them. So not this specific pair, but I have had 3 to 4 pair of Speed Goats, and I've used them on ultra marathons and Appalachian Trail section hikes and section hikes up here in Alaska. And they perform exceptionally well, and they keep my feet from hurting. Obviously, no shoe is going to keep your feet from totally hurting, but I certainly don't have the same amount of agony at the end of the day as I did previously. So Here is my promo or plug for the Hoka shoes. Highly recommend them. All right, so next I'm gonna have the clothing that'll be in my backpack. It will come out as needed. First and foremost, we've got a pair of lightweight gloves here. These are made by Head, which is a Costco brand. I believe they're $5 to $10. They're cheap, they're warm, and they also repel water. As for a long sleeve t-shirt, I've got a REI merino wool. Once again, I really like this for all the properties mentioned previously with that short sleeve t-shirt made by Smartwool. It's warm, it keeps the odor down, and also it'll stay warm when it's wet. So huge pluses there. As for recovery, we just really want to make sure that we're staying focused on keeping us on the trail, and part of that is a good recovery at the end of the day. And the way that we do that is with these calf sleeves. Originally when we did our hike, we had full length calf sleeves, so they would start at the foot like a sock and you would just pull them up over. But one thing that we noticed with that is that our feet were sweating overnight and they weren't allowed the opportunity to breathe, so it would just be itching like crazy. So in an attempt to resolve that, we're going to use just these calf compression sleeves and see how that works out. Now, for my jacket, I've got the Montbell Thermowrap. This also went the distance on the Appalachian Trail and was used for 2,000 miles. It is light, it is warm, and one thing that we really liked about it is it could be totally soaked, and you just take it and wring the water out and throw it back on, and it would still be warm and it would dry extremely quick. So huge shout out to Montbell. This is extremely valuable all throughout the AT. Okay, so another of my favorite brand of socks are the 0.6s. Once again, over 1,000 miles on both pair of these socks, and I plan on using them again, and I'm just going to use them until they give up because they're still fine. There's a little rubbing that you can see on there, but other than that, they keep me on the trail and I can't complain. Okay, now for rain gear. What I've got here is a little bit of a cross. So this is a hunting pattern. It is made by Kuiu, and this is their Ultra NX rain jacket. They don't make this anymore, but if you're looking for something similar, I believe the Outdoor Research Helium brand, which is more like running gear, is about the same weight. This doesn't have any pockets on that, so that is one thing that you have to be aware of, but it is ultralight, and this coupled with the umbrella keeps me plenty dry. All right, and then I've got the Polartec fleece cap. You can get these on Amazon. They only weigh a couple ounces. We've been using these for years through the Army, also used them on the Appalachian Trail through hike, and I still use them today on section hikes. And then all of that equipment is going to go into this Osprey dry bag. This is a 20-liter dry bag, and these work exceptionally well, but you shouldn't get married to any brand because we just had some, I believe it was like Alpine, something or another brands on our through hike, and that works fantastic. All right, so rolling on to the cooking system. So what I've got here for my cook system is a MSR Pocket Rocket. This is a very popular model of stove. I've been using it for about 12 years now. This is the same one and it is still holding strong, but you just fold it out like so. And then you would screw it on top of this fuel canister and then turn it on and ignite it. One thing I also like to do is I slip one of the mini Bic lighters in there that'll fit just fine between the stove. So you've always got a lighter on hand. And then as for a pot, we'll start with the spoon first actually. This is just the Sea to Summit titanium spoon. Though I'm not married, I don't have any brand loyalty. These are titanium spoon is a titanium spoon, so whatever you got works. And then the MSR Titan tea kettle. This weighs, gosh, I want to say probably 4 ounces. It's extremely light. And actually one item of gear that we're going to be adding for this trip are these Snow Peak hot lips. And what this will do is so you don't have to carry a separate coffee cup and you don't want to worry about burning your lips drinking coffee right from the pot, is you just slide this. I'm sure I'll mess it up. It's like doing math in public. Oh, it went right on there. That's how easy it is to use. And so that puts a nice guard here so you can sip on your coffee without burning your lips on the pot itself. And onto the water filtration system. So once again, something that we used on the entirety of the Appalachian Trail was a Sawyer squeeze. And what we normally do is put this on top of a smart water bottle and then you'll just squeeze it. It's as simple as that, and then the water will come out the back end here. Some things to be aware of with these though is obviously the freezing point. If it gets below freezing on these, it will freeze the internal, the carbon filter that's in there. Correct me if I'm wrong, and it'll actually break it. So if your water is suddenly flowing really well after a cold night, you should be concerned. But we had no issues with that, but we also slept with these. And the one tip I'd like to give you too is keep one of the O-rings. We did lose one of these on our hike, and what'll happen there is you break the seal around the edge here and you'll see it just pouring out of your smart water bottle. And you can survive around that, but it's definitely a lot easier to make sure you've got that seal so the flow isn't interrupted. Okay, in this next category of gear, I'm most excited about because it's got the most new equipment in it, and that is the sleep system. Starting with a quilt, a new tent, let me get the stakes out, and a new sleeping pad, and this is old, but it's still great. And so this is the Enlightened Equipment Enigma 0 Degree quilt. Now I'm moving on from the sleeping bag to the quilt because one, it's fun to experiment with different types of gear, and the section hikes provide an excellent opportunity to do so. Two, I like the weight savings involved with a quilt as opposed to a sleeping bag. And three, just my style of sleeping, it seems like the quilt may work a little bit better because I am a side sleeper and I'm a little bit restless, so this should fit the bill. Now, we also retired our Big Agnes HVUL2 tent, which we used throughout the entire hike, and moved to a Z-Pax duplex. This weighs all of 19 ounces. When we first got this thing, Wella wasn't sure if they had shipped us anything because it felt like they just sent us a box of air, and this was inside of it. And full disclosure, we have not set this up yet. We will set it up before the hike. Hopefully we don't have to do it live on the trail once we get down there on March 1st, but we will if we have to. I'm familiar with setting up tents similar to this, and I've heard Z-Pax is just extremely friendly with the setup, so shouldn't be an issue. Oh, and then the stake bag, nothing fancy there, just another Granite Gear Ditty sack that we like to use. These things are awesome. Take a look at them. You can buy like 10 of these Ditty sacks online in a bag. Okay, and another item I'm extremely excited about is the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. Why am I so excited about this? Well, previously I'd used Climates, but the Climate sleeping pads left me on the ground cold too many times, so they got the boot and Thermarest got promoted. Now, why the Thermarest? Since I've started backpacking in 2010, I've heard nothing but positive things about these. I'm really excited. The only thing that I can think of is what everybody says about these is it just sounds like a bag of chips. So hopefully Wella will forgive me. Won't be too upset, but I am stoked for this. And then finally for the sleep system, and this actually goes into other categories, but this is the Thermarest Z-Lite, just cut to suit my, my seating pad. And this is great because if you don't want to sit down in a wet area, or if you want to stay a little bit warmer, have something to insulate your body, this is great to put down, and it weighs next to nothing. And another great thing that I'll do with this is slide it underneath the sleeping pad. That way it'll cushion my hips nicely. And any extra bit you can get out there to help you sleep is fantastic. So one of my favorite pieces of gear. Okay, and we're coming down the home stretch here. But first I want to make sure that we talked over the toiletries and first aid kit. I'm not going to force you to watch me unpack all this. I'm just going to lay everything out, and we're going to let the wonders of technology fast forward through everything, and then I'll talk about them after the fact. And last but not least, we've got our technology. And I keep all this in a Granite Gear little ditty bag. These are fantastic for compartmentalizing all that small gear that you've got. First and foremost, we have got the Petzl Tactica headlamp. Once again, another piece of equipment that made the whole trail. Then next, I like to keep a lens wipe or a glasses case here. The nice thing about that is it's got this smooth cloth on the inside so you can clear up any of your lenses. Spare batteries for the headlamp. This is the grip for our cell phone here. So when we're doing vlogging, we just put this on the end of the trekking pole with the stick pick here. This is the number 2 because we have the Samsung Galaxy. Well, actually, it's matched the trekking pole So we've got the Lecky trekking poles, which means we have a number 2 stick pick. And then to keep everything charged up, we got the Anchor 20,000 milliamp. This thing is a tank. I don't think we've run it dry yet, and we've charged our cell phones on probably 3 to 4 charges each. Highly recommend that. And then 2 small items that I like to keep in my kit is one, this is important for us if we're swapping between cell phones or if we've got the GoPro, but this is actually a one of the small presses that you use to pull out an SD card or to press out an SD card and a micro SD card from a cell phone, so always keep that at the bottom. And then another piece of equipment that's paid dividends is this is just a standard, so USB, which you normally see, but we've also got a Type-C adapter here. So that'll go right on the end here, and so you only have to carry one cord and you're not having to carry multiple for your varying devices. And that's it for the electronics. Okay, and that wraps up my packing list. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. March the 1st, we'll be starting our AT section hike. Once again, that's going to be going from Springer Mountain to Hot Springs, North Carolina. A little over 200 miles, and we are extremely excited. And that will be live, so you'll be seeing videos every 2 to 3 days as we get signal or the Wi-Fi. And that's it, y'all. Thanks for watching.